Welcome to my channel. Today, Simi Dhillon shares with us how he built a seven-figure business using just his life savings. I hope you enjoy. Bye.
In this cost of living crisis, I would love to have built a seven-figure business, and we're going to delve into that. But tell me, Simi, tell me a little bit about how you've got to this moment and your background.
Okay, so I started.
It should be on. Let's go. Let's try again. There you go.
So I started my business when I was at university as a student. So it was very, very bootstrapped. I took £10 from a student overdraft. I went down to the supermarket and I bought some ingredients, and then I just started selling to my flatmates and then friends and friends, and just grew from there. We were part-time for over 4 years. After I graduated, I got a full-time graduate job at Google, still balancing the business on the side, internships along the way. And then when I graduated, it was during the pandemic, and the business was going very, very well. So that's where we decided, so I got a business with my brother, and also my mum involved as well. That's where we decided to quit our jobs and go full-time in business, and that was in early 2021. So for the last 2 years, we've been full-time, and I guess when we went full-time at the start, it was great, everything was good. We went full-time at a time where things were going really well with meal delivery. 2022 was a very challenging year, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. And we actually rebranded from RNS, which stands for, does anyone know what it stands for?
No.
So it was rice and spice.
I feel like I should know what it stands for, but go ahead.
So it was initially rice and spice. So we started as a student. There was no strategy, there was no business plan. We still don't have a business plan now, but we did quite well. During 2022, when times were really tough, we realised that we had to make changes, and that's where we rebranded. It was a challenging year getting through that, and then as soon as we rebranded, it was September last year, so 12 months since we rebranded, we've grown over 7 times since that point, and it's just been like a phenomenal 12 months, and the business has never been better, so really good position right now.
That is incredible. So let's just go back slightly to uni. Could you actually cook when you were in uni? Like prior to starting the business part-time, could you cook?
So obviously people wouldn't buy it if it wasn't good.
You'd be surprised, sometimes your family and friends just want to support you because
That is a good point. Initially, they weren't family and friends, it was just like other students, and I remember even like one of my close friends when I was at university, he was just like, afterwards he had it, and he was like, yeah, this is good, and he was just like, I would have told you if it wasn't as well. But obviously I was eating the food that I enjoyed, and I wouldn't feel like I've got a good palate. And again, I'm not the best chef in the world, but I'm a good chef, and at that point in time, all that it required was it to be better than alternatives. So for students, they were either cooking themselves, or they were using Domino's, that kind of thing. And it was tastier, it was cheaper, it was more healthy, more convenient. We now have like a team of chefs and like Michelin trained chefs, award-winning chefs who work in the kitchen now. But yeah, for the first 3 years, I was in the kitchen, not every day, but a lot of days. Mum's in the kitchen a lot. We had friends helping out. And the product doesn't need to be perfect to start with, it just needs to offer value to the customer and offer value and gives them a return on what they're spending on you.
I love the fact that you talk about it being a family-orientated business. In the previous session, we were talking about the business of motherhood and talking about how we're trying to get the kids involved in business endeavours, in entrepreneurship, and you've kind of flipped it slightly because you are the child essentially, and then you've got your mum involved and your brother involved. Do you find it difficult being in business with family, or have you found it sailing?
We get this question a lot whenever we do these kind of interviews or talks, and honestly for us, it's like such a blessing. It's so good because we have so much trust, we can be so direct, we know each other inside out, and for us it works really well. I'm the youngest, my brother's older than me, my mum is not, but we have like a quite unique family dynamic where I'm the one child, and it kind of works really well. So fortunately we haven't had any issues like that. Obviously there are times where we have arguments, we're shouting, swearing at each other, but within half an hour we're fine, do you know what I mean? And I think we've learned to work together better.
I love that because I feel like if I was in business with my siblings, like, we need someone to play referee, because my brother's so sarcastic, my sister thinks she knows it all, and there's me in the middle just like, I don't want to hear what anyone really wants to say. So I find it really interesting when I hear people that are in business with their family. So let's just go back. You spoke about bootstrapping. Does everyone in the room know what bootstrapping means? Don't be ashamed. This is the time to learn. No, perfect. Do you know? You don't know. Okay, kind of. I'll be honest, I didn't know what it meant. I had to Google it before I came in. And my understanding, so tell me if I'm wrong, Simi, bootstrapping is the process of growing, of starting a business, growing it and accelerating it without any external help. So no funding, no kind of VC investments, just all your own funding. Am I right?
Yes. If I'm being honest, I don't really know the exact definition. And actually I found out something recently, but I've always said that, like, because we've started with nothing, just literally from scratch, from £10 of savings and just reinvested everything from that point. But I believe that we're extreme bootstraps, but I think anything that is like external money is defined as bootstraps.
Yeah.
So it's like, not taking on investment basically.
Okay, so if you leave this session learning one thing, I would hope everyone's learned what bootstrapping means today. And tell me, how difficult was it to launch a business, grow it and accelerate it without actually having any external funding? Were there times where you were like, yeah, I'm not going to do this, I'm just going to stop, I'm going to stay at Google, I'm going to continue with my full-time job?
Well, when I started, I was 19. I didn't really know that you could raise money. I wasn't aware of that, and to me, a business has always just been about like, just, I'm not saying hustling, but like just getting things done and just starting with what you've got and taking something, selling it, reinvesting profits. So that's the way that I've always just pursued businesses, from selling things on the playground, buying, selling clothes, and that kind of thing. So it's just literally never come into my mind to have to do that. And now actually it's something that we really lean into, and it's why we're so resourceful as a business and so scrappy as a team. And obviously, even when times were really challenging, like last year, we came from a position of real strength because we were so lean. Had we had lots of overheads and expenses, when we hit a time period like that, then a lot of businesses did go into last year, especially in our space. But whilst it was a challenge, we were okay.
Okay, and we know about you spoke about last year and the year before COVID. We know the challenges that COVID brought to so many businesses. What would you say your strategy and marketing strategy was during that time that's allowed you to essentially grow exponentially?
So our marketing strategy has always been storytelling. So when I started with Facebook. That's what everyone at university used. Now we don't use Facebook as much. Then we moved to Instagram because that was something that everyone was using, and LinkedIn as well. But what we've always just been very big on is like building community online. And for the first 4 years, we didn't run any paid ads. So we were like very, very scrappy, very lean. And it was all about being as scrappy as we could. So every time when you follow up, we'd personally message them. If they responded, we'd try and voice note them and that kind of thing. Be really active, respond to our comments, like making sure we're posting every day, storying every day, and just like constantly creating content. And now like content is a huge part of our business, even though we're on other platforms like TikTok and that kind of thing. But yeah, content and storytelling is always been like central.
It's really interesting you talk about that, building an online community, because so many people that I know that run their own business, that's something that's really important to them, is making sure that they do have an online community as well as offline in some areas. Did you find it difficult constantly having to make sure that there's content being created? Did you understand kind of that social media space when you first started out?
It is exhausting. It's so exhausting, and when you put that content to do well, it can be very demoralising as well. But I had no like experience social media, absolutely no idea. I wasn't a creator or anything. I think I only made my Instagram account a few months before starting the business. So yeah, I wasn't even a user of the platform really. And we ever show up slowly over time, yeah, it's just been consistent really, just like seeing it as something like to learn. In the same way that people will go to university and study certain things, it's the same principles really, just testing and learning and just trying.
Great, so COVID is here, you're online, you're building your online community, posting across social media. you feel like there were any challenges at that point? Seeing if we talk about kind of the challenges that businesses found during COVID, was there any time that you looked and you said, right, my content's not doing great? Was there ever a time that you stopped believing in the product or felt that actually, is this all worth it? Because it's very stressful trying to accelerate and grow a business, isn't it?
Yeah, so actually during 2020, it was like 2021, it was a great time for business because we were in like the middle of COVID, and this is where people on furlough, people have so much disposable income. If you could set up any e-commerce business, it would just do well. And I don't think we really realised that. And in 2022, I guess we had a bit of a correction where people actually furlough from now. We had a cost of living crisis, like energy prices going through the roof, and that's when we were like, oh, like actually we're really struggling. So again, that wasn't that long ago. It was like April, May, kind of last year. So it's not long ago at all. And during those moments, there were plenty of times where the process that was like getting no engagement. It was like, how is this possibly happening? We were really struggling to acquire new customers, and yeah, I just felt like exhausted, like fed up, and there are sometimes you think, is this what I really want to be doing? Do I want to be spending my life doing this? I could be working on other things, I could be working at Google, I could be working wherever else, starting another business. You do kind of get in that negative side spiral sometimes, but I'm really lucky that obviously I've got a brother as well, so it's like we'll always kind of look out for each other. So there might be times where it's rare, but like every time when you're struggling, it's like, oh, like we are around you and like encourage you and motivate you and like and drag you along. And there'll be times where he's like that and I'll bring him along. So yeah, it's nice having like a co-founder and people very close with
I think when we talk about kind of the benefits of having a business partner or family members, it's having that network, that kind of village around you that can support you and push you when you're not at 100. They can kind of uplift you and keep you motivated. Do you think that's a really important thing to have around you for people who are, trying to navigate the world of entrepreneurship? Or do you think actually you could do it alone if you needed to?
I mean, you can do it alone. It's going to be a lot more difficult, and if you are bootstrapping and like you don't have investors, you don't have a board, you don't have advisors, it's even more difficult to do it alone. And also you have to be like very skilled in different areas. So for us now, we have quite a natural split. So I do like business stuff, like brand stuff, strategy, marketing, finance, and Jay very much does operations and also finance, and like that's a very difficult job and maybe a less glamorous job, but like it's a very natural split, so it just works really well. Our skills are aligned, and even now I feel very stretched doing various other things. I like to do tech stuff as well, some data stuff, business, marketing, content, and it's just like it's exhausting. If I had to do operations as well, even worse. So yeah, it's good to find that you want someone who's aligned, but it's different to you.
Yeah.
To the same people is probably not that healthy either.
Right. Yeah, really. And when your business was starting to grow and you were accelerating, did you have a business plan? Did you think actually I need to really sit down and map out like this is A, B, and C, like this is the road that I'm going down? Or did you feel like actually I'm just going to wing it and just adapt as we go along?
Yeah, so to this day, we still have no business plan. I mean, like we've grown 7 times in the last year. We're doing unbelievably well, but we just don't have a business plan. I think that, I'm not saying that that's the thing you should or should do. Probably should have a business plan, but I'm saying that you don't need to have one. So you have to have one, you don't have to have one. But I think it's because like I'm so involved in every area of the business. One thing that I have found very helpful is having goals. We don't have like, we want to exit at this level to this, this is our strategy, here's our roadmap. We very much like iterate as we go. But at the beginning of this year, as we stagnated last year, I was kind of like, okay, this year, this is the revenue we want to hit. How we're going to get there is by leaning into these channels. It's by having targets each week and making sure that whatever we do this week, we hit that target, job done basically. And that has been super helpful. We have like a weekly metrics call. We had that before I came here. We would sit through like, hey, here are the sales this week. Here's like the the margins, here's how many customers we buy, how many we've lost, and everyone kind of go for their own metrics. So I think that's really important. Being like metric driven is super important. That you don't need the perfect business plan, especially not to start. Maybe as you go along, you need to kind of like have a bit more of a vision and a plan. But
okay, we in the previous session we heard from one of the ladies who has a business of her own, and she also spoke similarly about not having a business plan. So I'm not advocating saying that you don't have to have a business plan to succeed. However, I feel like as times change and you know consumers change and the way that consumers buy into brands and products, it changes. So I always have to ask myself, actually, the strategies and the tips that we've had from like 30 years ago around building and growing a business, can those same tips and advice and strategies be implemented today? Or is it actually that we do need to think of new and innovative ways to launch and grow a business? Obviously a business plan is core to knowing and having it written down on paper, but do you think that how essentially you may have approached launching a business 10 years ago or 5 years ago may be different now?
I think like business is quite a timeless thing in terms of you want to like understanding people is always like the core to business, and understanding your customer and like as an entrepreneur, like the skills of an entrepreneur will never change. In terms of strategies you may have, you can argue that 10 years ago social media was completely different. Now it's everything, and like especially for e-commerce businesses, it's so important. I think there are like timeless principles for any business that you obviously want to deliver value, your customer experience, your brand. But like on the one hand, like you should try and reinvent the wheel, but on the other hand, you really need to be adaptable at times and see what's working and doubling down on that.
Okay, and we spoke a lot about social media, and I feel like with e-commerce that's an important element. If anyone was in the room and they didn't have any experience with social media or knowing what SEO is or anything like that, where would you say is a good place to start in terms of trying to understand that world? Because working at Google, you get it, you understand it, like, but if somebody wasn't exposed to that world, what advice would you give them in terms of trying to navigate that social media, SEO, e-commerce world?
Yeah. I would just on the point about Google, I interned there in 2019 and then started a full-time job in 2020. I was only there for 6 months and half that was like training about stuff that was just all Google related products, so it didn't actually help that much stuff. But I'll just say by starting, so everyone here I assume will have a phone, will have a smartphone, they can download Instagram, download TikTok and just consume the platform. And again, it doesn't need to be, you've obviously got accounts like here's how to grow, here I'm like a social media expert. You can follow those accounts and might be useful, but you can just look up that's really great content, that's really great storytelling, how can I apply that to my business and myself? And it's just like right now we don't really we get inspiration from great creators, not really brands. We always try to avoid looking at brands really because a lot of them we don't think are creating great content. So we look at who out there is creating things that we really enjoy, that are interesting, that are very storytelling led, and we'll look at how we can take inspiration from them. And I think the easy thing is just to start like an easy type of content is like day in the life. And anything could be like, oh, I'm like day in the life of someone trying to start a business. So we're like, oh, today I woke up, I got up early, I went to some exercise, and bought health, I did that. After breakfast, then I started doing research. I went to this event to learn more. I went back home and I implemented some strategies. And that's just like a little bit of content. Again, it might not go viral, it might not change your life, but going through that process, filming it, you'll put out a script for that, you might do a voiceover for it, that's it. Like just get started really.
For me, when I see people creating content, I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. It is very time consuming, guys. Very, very time consuming. However, if I could give one piece of advice, I'm not saying if I could give one piece of advice when it came to creating content, you can just do it on your camera phone, but wipe your camera first. Literally, it makes such a big difference. Such a big difference. Like honestly, like small tips and tricks like that. If you want to put stuff onto social media, there's so many times I see people kind of tell that they don't really know how to navigate social media, and something simple like content that's not clear, or because literally all you could have done is just wiped your camera and made it super clear. Like just small things like that can actually be the difference to how somebody views your content as well. So you've spoken about growing 7 times. So you have a loyal customer base. Talk me through how you were able to build that loyal customer base. You've spoken about responding to comments on social media and being engaged with your customers. Are there any strategies that you adopted?
I guess the most important thing is the product. If it's a product that people get value from, that they enjoy, then they just carry on buying. We did a project at the beginning of this year, which was around strategy. So we surveyed lots of our customers. I actually went to some of their houses, interviewed them in person, see where they live. I ended up with a freelancer as well. I was very hands-on with it. So we did that to try and understand our customers more. So I think really understanding your customer can be very important, and actually having a strategy around like your brand can be really important. Understanding who your customer profiles are, what makes them tick, what their pain points are, and just trying to solve the problem for them. And always constantly looking, researching out what bigger companies are doing, what you can be doing to improve the experience. It's the most important thing.
Okay. Now I want you guys in the room to be able to have some key takeaways. If there are any questions, please don't be shy. You may not get this opportunity again. I'm going to come to you for the mic. Thank you. I'm not sure if this is being recorded, so I want everyone to answer the question to be able to be heard. Go for it.
Right. So how did you navigate the delivery issues from the beginning? Because that's quite a difficult thing to figure out, isn't it, cost-wise, and charging the right prices for the food, and if you were selling individual dishes or doing a subscription from the beginning.
One, we're still working out as we go. Initially, our model was that I would sell anything. I would sell one individual meal and I would walk it to the customer at university. I would knock on the door, I'd meet them at the bus stop, and then we're like, okay, we have a certain minimum number of orders, and then what actually happened, how we stumbled across like this meal delivery service was that we started, someone said to us, actually, can I have 5 of these meals? We have for my lunches during the week. We're like, yeah, great, we'll do that. And then we just phased out like takeaways and we went purely packages. We used to just be constrained by geography, so we delivered to people in a local town. And again, it was just like, £5 meals sounds about right. In hindsight, what we should have probably done is looking at, and this is the thing, like the chances are, like most businesses have been done before, and what you're trying to do is put your own spin on the business. Unless you're doing something like completely innovative, which you probably need lots of investment and money to get it started. So for us, like we would often look at a company like HelloFresh. They're huge. They're going to do like they're a £1 billion company, right? And they have whole teams doing every single part of their service. So what we did during like lockdown, we're really struggling to nail our delivery and nationwide delivery. So we ordered from them, looked at what packaging they use, what insulation they use, how many ice packs they put in, and just copy that basically. And then it sounds it's just like so simple. Like look at these companies. This year our revenue will be like £5 million, and HelloFresh this year in the UK will be 500 million. So again, like we've got a long way to go before we need to be like completely think about things from scratch. Obviously, there are things that we do differently, but it can always be inspired by large companies.
So I was going to say, so essentially it's about also looking at your competitors and what your competitors are doing as well. I want to say getting inspiration from there, but would you describe it as something different?
Yeah, like I remember when I was like 20, and like I've never really had any like mentors or advisors, apart from like books and podcasts. And I remember reading like the Steve Jobs autobiography, and he was just talking about how like great, he has a phrase like good artists copy and great artists steal. And I always say like don't worry about like look at someone else to do, but then you put your own spin, like you take it and you make it better. Like we're completely different. It's a very similar business model, but it's like different because they actually do the resin boxes, whereas we do the ready-to-eat meals. But all the time when you're seeing things, like there are things that you can steal and make better, and make your own. And again, like someone will do something a certain way, you might look at the best part they do, the best part someone else does, and just take the best parts from everywhere. Because there'll be things that they do that's awful, like you know what to do.
That was my question. Yes,
Hi, I have 2 questions for you. So you told that social media marketing costs are central for driving the business for you. So and for the 4 years you were doing organic marketing. So you were getting the leads to
the first question around social media, so the first 4 years, we were always trying to sell, because at the end of the day, if you don't have sales, you don't have a business, and you go under. But we were trying to do so in a way that was like storytelling led. So we have different types of content. Like I see a lot of businesses who it's clear that they don't understand social media. They're just like, here, buy this product, here's an offer, etc. It's just not going to work, especially not organically. So we get to be really like think about what posts actually got engagement, what do people want to see on social media, but always trying to sell as we went on, just subtly selling. That's why I said like you might like post the content to get new followers, to get leads. When someone follows you, you can send them a message saying, hey, thanks for following us. Here's a bit more about what we do. Are you interested? Like I think our message was something along the lines of, thanks a lot for following us. We're a family-run business, and we do like healthy, delicious meals. Is this something that you'd be interested in if you're time poor and health conscious? And then you might send 100 messages and 10 people respond. If they respond, you can voice them and say, oh, thanks a lot for getting back to us, and answer their questions. And then you might send them a little a link with a little discount to get signed up. The second question was.
Apart from social media marketing.
Yeah, I remember the question now. Yeah, so for us, email marketing has been really good, and it's very cost effective, it's very cheap. So if you get leads to your website, you can then retarget them. Yeah, it's very cost effective. Referrals, so if your customers love your products, when we started off, we didn't know, we call it referrals, but lots of people were telling other people about us. So word of mouth and having some kind of incentive there, so like give 20%, get 20%. So referrals, email, social media is really big. You can try some partnerships. You can look at influencers and creators, but it's quite saturated and it's very difficult to get them good influencers who will be cost effective.
So it was basically the digital marketing.
So just on that point, so sorry, I feel like I'm like part of the gang set up. It's great. On your point of influencers and creators, I work in marketing, work with talent every day, and just to reinforce what he says, it is a very saturated market, especially when trying to work with influencers. And it's not necessarily looking at their follower numbers and saying, oh, they've got 100,000 followers, I want to work with them. Actually, it's about them having an engaged audience and also identifying which has an authentic link to the products that you're trying to sell. So for example, if someone was a food content creator, yours is around food, but actually they may not create very engaging content that resonates with people. But actually going back to what Sim was saying around storytelling, actually if you find a creator that's really good at telling a story, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to the food delivery service. It could actually just be them doing a get ready with me or a day in the life of, and actually part of that is just a small part about, oh, I'm eating this food because I've been so busy, as you can see in my day in the life, and actually it makes my life much easier. That is actually a story that, for example, a parent could look at and be like, you know what, actually I'm super busy, I don't have time to cook for myself, so actually it's really interesting, let me check that out and see if it makes my life much more easier. So I think when you are, that's just because I'm working with talent and influencers all the time, for me, when we're speaking to brands, we're always saying just because somebody has 500,000 followers, yes, the content may be seen by, I don't know, 200,000, it doesn't mean anyone's actually going to be motivated, and it doesn't necessarily convert into sales. But actually somebody with 7,000 followers could actually have a really engaged audience, and the content could really resonate with them, meaning that you may then have 6,000 people that have seen the content and that will engage in it and will be motivated to actually go and purchase the products.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jan. I have my business is IT, and I do dabble it down a little bit because IT is, I think it's really important. So I'm here today and attending all these events to get ideas and translate what the tangible products. I don't see one product as something you can touch and feel and eat. So the information I'm getting, I'm trying to translate it and change my mindset into thinking that Instagram is purely for food or, makeup or stuff like that. Because you can't actually touch my product. How can I get my head in the game and change what I'm hearing from and just translate it in a different way for what I'm doing.
In a sentence, what is your product, or what does it solve?
It solves IT solutions. Why can't I use Office 365 the way I want to work it? Why doesn't my well-managed work the way that I want it? Why can't I do? Why doesn't my automatic numbering in Word work? My Teams isn't working. The whole 365 package.
Yeah. So, firstly, what I would say is yes, you can, like, there are so many weird niches on every platform. So someone could have a niche on, like, well, we're actually blown up quite a lot of cleaning, and like something you think is boring, but like that's huge on Instagram and TikTok. But from what you said, it sounds kind of like a B2B product, so then to businesses whose customers or team will use it. So it's just like a no-brainer to use LinkedIn. So I'd say LinkedIn is like definitely your go-to platform, and you don't even need to be selling your products from that. You can be like, oh, today we've just signed up this client, it's a really big win for us. You can be, we just hired a new person, and it's just about like posting things that people resonate with, and they'll come to you about, like, oh, what do you do? And then they're like, if they're interested, they might reach out or might connect with you. If they're interested, in there's other things you can do. You don't always need to be selling, but one easy win could be like, you have a business and customers. People don't even have customers or a business, and they're creating content. So you could be talking about your customer stories. So you could even do like have some people create content around, oh, my thing isn't working again. Here's the product that will solve it. To make my life a lot easier, because everyone like knows the pain of having IT issues with this headache. So yeah, you can create content around anything.
Thank you.
I think for me as well, I don't know if anyone addicted to TikTok, because I am absolutely addicted to TikTok. There is a video on TikTok for everything. Yeah, if you're feeling crap about your job, there's HR videos on there that give you like funny videos. But one thing that they also do have that I found really useful randomly is there's an account, I can't remember the name of it, but it gives you literally 30-40-second kind of solutions to your Excel problems. So did you know if you wanted to do this in Excel, this is a shortcut, and actually that is really, really useful. So in terms of for you, there could be, you could be creating content on, say, TikTok around solutions to everyday problems. So you're saying Microsoft 365 is not working, this is a common problem, and talking about that, because I guarantee you it's probably quicker for someone to watch your video and get the solution to that than to bring the IT person in their office, right? But it could be a business that says, actually, this person's quite credible about what they're talking about, let me reach out and contact them. So I think it's about adapting your content as well to the different social platforms that you're on. And I'm not in IT, so I don't know about Instagram, but Instagram's not necessarily the only social platform. There's a wealth of others. Like, I don't know if anyone's into gaming, but Twitch and the gamer content creators, the people literally sit and watch them play like computer games, which is wild to me. But it's about adapting your content to the social platform. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You've got to have a different social plan for different social channels, because it isn't. I think this is going to come back to you.
I've got a subscription business as well, and my question is around like your retention strategy. What do you do to retain your subscribers?
So I think the single best thing you can do is have a great product. So one great hack for a subscription is obviously we always sign you up on we used to obviously offer like discounts, because like I know something like I can offer discounts to do values product, but if you look again at Fresh and Gusto, they give a crazy discount. They do like 60% on the first order, which is ridiculous. Our like default offer is 25% or 20% off the first 4 orders. And the reason we did this is because we believe in the product. And like, if we can get this product in the person's hand for 4 orders for a month, they're not going to be able to cope without it, basically. And sometimes I even do it with mates, like, oh, I've got some spare meals, here's a couple of meals, and if you want to sign up, here's a little bit of code, and they'll be like, oh, do you know what? This will make my life so much easier. So again, doing like a phased discount where you get kind of hooked on it after like a month. Again, getting feedback from customers like constantly. So we now have something where when you sign up, we ask you a bit more about yourself. So I know, for example, about 60% of our customers almost bang on male, for example, female. I know that most of our customers are actually living alone, and just little things like that just help us about who are we serving, what are their pain points. What's the number one reason that you sign up to our service? You can ask questions like this to customers. So for us, a lot of it's convenience, it's time saving. And then like we have a great CS team. So we have like a council journey. So like, in terms of like, oh, sure, what's the reasons? Can we save them? If they are higher LTV, so they've been LTV is lifetime value. If they're higher LTV, we'll call them up. I don't really do these anymore. I used to do them. So when the customer service team give them a call, say, oh, is there anything we can help you? Anything else? And like it tends to be like we do everything we can to save them, but you also have to accept that like sometimes people like to write for them. But again, another thing you can do is reactivate return customers through maybe email marketing. It's the easiest way to do it. So just sending a campaign every once in a while, saying, hey, how much life easier be with this? Here's the offers for that.
Hi, I'm just curious. You said you went to uni, so I wanted to ask, what did you study at uni? Did it help you? Are there any skills that helped you in starting your business? And when you went to uni, did you have another idea of what you're gonna do after you graduate? And at what point did you have the confidence to kind of like change that idea and go with the business?
So I initially went to university and studied maths, and I didn't like that, so I dropped out and then went back to study economics. The degree isn't that helpful to the business. Like, it's definitely something my brother didn't have a degree, and he's super competent in business, and more competent people who have had degrees that we find in the past as well. So the degree doesn't matter. I think university is great because it's an opportunity to go and live out, to meet people from different backgrounds, completely different backgrounds to you, and also it gives you time. When you're a student, you do have a lot of free time. You have way more free time and less responsibilities, so it's a great environment to test. I test in first year, it was a great time to test when I had even more free time, and I just kept on going from there, really.
One last question. Okay, you don't mind if we run over like a few minutes, do you? Great, I'll come to you again. Guys, I told you I'm a remote. Yeah, it's fine. Here you go.
Thank you. So I work in AI and data science and stuff, and when you were mentioning the breakdown of the things you do between you and your brother, you mentioned you did data stuff. So I just wondered, like what kind of data analytics do you do and how do you collect your data?
So we also have a full-time lead developer. So when I was at Google, I actually met someone who works at HelloFresh, and he was like, HelloFresh was first a tech business, second a food business. So that's when I was like, we needed developer. So before then I was building focused on Wix. So we got our developer in with us, who's part-time as well, and he's now full-time with us for 4 years now. So it's really great that we get that as a result. And we'll constantly be, so we custom build our website, and like I said, when people come on the website, we'll instantly have that data capture. It's optional, but most people do that. We'll do surveys with the customers as well, but we have lots of data on, for example, what meals you're ordering, your behaviour in terms of what are you logging, how often you're logging in, are you referring people, how much you're skipping your plan, you obviously can skip each week if you need to. Where our customers are based in the country, and looking at those kind of insights to help us inform decisions going forward. We also have things like meal reviews, so we ask people to review meals, but data. I know it sounds quite scary, but if you don't work in data, there's data like your retention rate videos. You can go into TikTok and go, oh, how many people are here after 3 seconds? What's that in 3 seconds? It's not likely to change that going forward. There's data our metrics that we give each week. Everyone has their own targets, and it's how much of our followers change, for example, how many new customers are we acquiring, what channels are we acquiring from, so just things like that.
Thank you. I just wondered perhaps what you could share about your experience or advice you can give to a food subscription business that is growing, in terms of reaching out to new geographical locations. Perhaps they've got a bit of a foothold in London, let's say. How do you kind of strategize growing? Is it just at random you say, okay, Birmingham or Manchester, or how do you define between the two? Is that led by data? And my second question is just, what piece of advice would you give, based on what you know now, what would you give to yourself at the beginning? Thank you.
So the first question on food subscription. So initially we were just completely we were constrained by we couldn't be delivering in our over there, it's like 20 miles. And then we're like, we keep getting inquiries from London, let's deliver that. So we sent the drivers around London, it's very inefficient. And then during lockdown, 2020, we launched nationwide delivery. So we can actually now to Scotland and Wales and everywhere in the UK. So we kind of didn't have that issue. But if it sounds from, can you do nationwide delivery? Or
I think it's all possible, but I suppose it's just, what works for you perhaps would be helpful.
in terms of, I guess the question was like where to go next, but like you can go in the whole UK and just like wherever you acquire customers, you can be able to serve them if you can deliver nationwide. I mean, if you keep on getting like, if you're communicating with your customers, you're messaging new customers, and they're like, oh, do you deliver to X? And you keep on saying, do you deliver to X? You're like, well, let's deliver that basically. But a lot, like, it's not like too targeted, it's all just like UK really. And the second question was, what advice? I was like, best piece of advice is just start earlier. Like, lots of people know, like, oh, I should be posting on LinkedIn or I should post on TikTok. Just start. And I know, like, I always think, oh, people started like years ago when the platform was easy to grow. The best time to plant seeds from years ago next to time is today. So basically, I also mentioned how content is super important, and also it should hopefully be useful for you in terms of how we do our social. So when I said about looking at creators, looking at brands, I would think we do a pretty good job. So I would say, for example, if you're looking for content inspiration, and I'm trying to post more like the entrepreneurial journey stuff, so I'd say definitely like connect with me on LinkedIn, follow on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram, and like just be like, honestly, just steal my content. There'll be things where you're like, oh, I can just like my best performing post on LinkedIn was a post I did like when I hardly had any followers, and it was basically saying, oh, I've kept this secret for a little while now, which is a good hook. I just put it like on Google basically, and there'll be people there where like probably not told anyone that you started a business or you're about to start, and when you do, you can do that kind of announcement post, just like always looking at all these content and like where you can steal that from. So that, yeah, steal content from me, from anyone. So just quickly.
So that's one gem.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you for two more gems, tips or strategies that you can give to the audience. The first one, he doesn't mind if you see these content guys, follow him on the socials.
Yeah.
Two more.
And I want to again, like when you start out, and like this is why I prefer like audiences like this better than like people who are going to be like raising lots and lots of money, because it's just like it's not what I've done. Who am I to give you that advice on that? But it's just being scrappy and like really speaking to customers. So the other day, one of my close friends works in customer service, and he got a customer who was kicking off, and he was just like, oh, like hi, it's Sam from Simba, and he was like, oh, Sydney, it's so great to meet you. And he was just like going and like the church to change completely. Obviously, I work customers sometimes, but if you guys have an issue, like, hey, it's the founder thing, I'm really sorry you have an issue, what can you help? Straight away, people just calm down and like just showing that you're a real person. So I say being personal, send voice notes to customers, and this isn't just people who have an issue, but people who are looking at someone else saying, hey, it's so and so from this company, I'm a founder, I'd love to like work with you guys. Like, any questions, let me know. And so being personal. For the first like 60,000 followers we had, every single new follower, unless we forgot or like missed out on some new followers, we'd send every day, we'd go like 50 new followers, everyone's getting a message saying, hey, this is what we do, we'll serve you. Again, 5-10% will respond. If they respond, it's more of a voice note. It's quite a high ROI activity, especially when you're starting out, so being personal. The other thing I would say, so stealing, like being a great artist, not copying, but stealing, being personal. Another thing I'd say is like just get your hands dirty, just like test and don't worry about like looking silly or failing. No one's going to see if it fails, right? If you pick great content and no one sees it, well, no one's seen it, so no one's going to know that it hasn't performed. Just not worrying about what other people think.
It's really interesting you spoke about being personal, because I don't know if anyone still uses Facebook, but I do from my local area. And someone did a long post complaining about the service they received in the local kebab shop, and was like, I've been coming here like all this time, like went off. And the owner responded basically saying, I apologise, I was on holiday, the standards of jobs, please do come in and ask me personally, I'll be in the shops on these days, I'm going to resolve this situation for you, like I'm so sorry. And actually so many people responded and said, because of that, we're coming in to come and see you and to get like our kebab and chips and stuff from there. I think that's testament to the benefits and how your business can be successful if you are personal and take ownership, because you are going to get it wrong sometimes, especially when working in a business that's customer focused as well. But that is the end of the session. Simi, thank you so much for joining us.
Just quickly before you, thank you for that. I would say what we need even more is, like I said, connecting and following on social. So on LinkedIn, I'm Simi Dhillon, name's the thing, and
His
on,
name's there.
yeah, and on Instagram and TikTok we're at simmer.eat. So yeah, just see our content.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.